You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Okay. We've got another guy checking in on a living situation here. Kyle, what's your current living situation?
Moved in with girlfriend, got a new TV and a bidet. So very happy. Yeah, I'm doing well.
Sounds like it.
Thanks.
It sounds like it.
It's been a great
back
month.
in the 80s. Yeah. I mean, back in the 80s, if you had a bidet,
be questions about you, right?
No, it would just mean like, how many houses does this guy have?
Oh.
Now guys are just getting them left and right now. It's a lot easier access to bidets than back when I was growing up. And that's one of the things that's changed over the last few decades. Okay. All right. So good stuff there. Is this the girlfriend that you keep? I don't want to open up your business here, but
yes, no.
I don't know.
Before you go through the whole thing, yes, you're correct.
Okay. All right. I don't know if that's offensive to you. You don't like hearing
No,
that,
it's not. It's like, Bill's like a hype man in certain situations. And if there's like issues in relationships, he's like all over it. So that was the case early on. And, the world knows. So it's just how it is.
For somebody like Bill, who's a little bit, he's only a little bit older than I am, but he is obviously successful. He really enjoys knowing some of the intimate details of those around him, which surprises me because you would think he could give a shit about any of it. And it's not even a criticism. It's just at times I'll be like, oh, I'm surprised you know anything about that. And then it's not like he's enjoying the drama. I think he's more aware.
He might be.
All right.
He's a bit of a reality TV guy, I think he just looks for that in us, I think that's what it is.
Good call. I think you've gotten smarter. You've gotten a lot smarter in the last couple of years. I don't know what's going on with you. You're just, and I mean that from whatever your baseline was before, an improvement. I didn't think you were a moron or anything like that. So, all right, moving on. All right. A guy checking in here, sophomore at Penn State. I feel like there was an awkward pause there, Kyle. Like all of a sudden you thought you were an idiot, and now I'm impressed that you're not an idiot.
No,
so I hope
SUNY college education, but bottom rung SUNY, but I'm still in that club.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Back to our guy. Sophomore year, Penn State, living with 3 other juniors that I've known before this semester. I failed out last year and had to go to community college to get my GPA up. You know what, though? You did it. You failed out. GPA, get it up, get back into the program, back at Penn State. So give yourself a pat on the back for that. A lot of guys just bail. There are already friends. Of course, there are. That a year difference is a big deal, high school and college. It just is. So they've been friends and you're younger. They already... I've been trying to fit in for a while now with them. I feel close with them, but not as close as they are all together. Yes. All right. See earlier commentary here. You're just not going to be as tight as these 3 guys. They're all the same age, and you're not in the same class. You're not. All right. They're signing a lease next year for a place that's $850 a month in rent. My rent here with them is currently $500 a month. My parents' budget. I don't know what that sentence means, but I think what he's saying is he doesn't want to spend $850. He's currently spending $500. And his parents have budgeted for $500. Living there next year would cost me the difference each month, which is a lot of money for someone my age. So he's going to come up with a $350 a month on his own. I'm not sure if I should sign with him because 1, the price factor, and 2, I'm worried about not having a group of friends next year if I don't live with them. So what should I do? And if you have more time in the School of Communications and don't know what major to do, all right. Do I start a blog? Let's focus on the rental situation here first, because I don't know what to tell you in the second one. Okay, here's a couple concerns. I completely get it. You want to maintain friendship with these guys because if you're not with them, then you're not going to have any friends. So really, the calculus on this is pretty easy. It's $350 extra a month. There should be a way for you, if you really wanted to be motivated about it. I would not have been mature to execute this plan. I could have thought of it. I wouldn't have done it. But if you really want to live with these guys and they're offering you a spot, then figure out a way to make an extra $350 over the course of the next however many months you have between now and when the lease starts, doing a summer job or whatever it is. If that means cutting some lawns on the side, or whatever it is you could do, like making $350 extra a month and putting that aside to then have it budgeted out. I don't think it's that hard. I'm not talking about when you're back at school, it's going to be hard, but I think there's a way for you to make up. And I don't know, I guess if you're doing a 12-month lease, that's tougher. I don't know if you're subletting during the summer. But yes, during the school year, coming up with the extra $350 a month is going to be challenging. But if you really want this, I don't think it's really I don't think it's impossible to figure out a way to go, how can I come up with, what are we talking about? $3,000, 3,600 plus the 50, it's almost $4,000 here extra to cover the extra rent. I mean, you add it up, it gets a little scarier, but I don't think it's impossible. All right. Now, I got to ask, are they asking you if you want to be the fourth in their new place? I assume they are. So that's good. And when you say I'm trying to fit in with them, don't try too hard, because guys don't like that. Guys really hate it. I think guys initially sort of hate each other, and I think women immediately really like each other. I don't know which one's worse, but we all have our flaws. Because here's the warning shot. If you sign the lease and you're like, yeah, dude, I'll figure it out, and your parents are not on board with this, and then you're the guy that's not coming up with your rent, say month 4 or 5, these guys are going to hate you. And no one's going to be friends with you ever. And you're going to have 0 friends the rest of your life. No, I don't mean that part. That's a little dramatic. But yes, don't do the lease. I think there's a way you can find a way to do this if you want it. But don't do the lease and be the guy that is like, yeah, man, I got this. We're cool. And then after a few months, you're behind because you can't come up with it. Kyle?
Well, I was in the same situation as him. I came back as a sophomore, actually. I got booted out my sophomore year. So I came back older than the guys who I had to find a new group of friends. But the thing that I would say is, you have the summer to make up some money for a job. Just do your calculations. And then, sell something or get a job when you're back there for the second semester, especially if it's not for a year. And, a lot of those college towns will rent out houses by the semester. It's like, yeah, well, you're our number one choice to come back for the second semester for this house if you're the rental agency. But, you just pay it by then. And then there's, 3 months where maybe you don't have to pay it if it's a college town. All I'm saying is you can figure it out between a summer job and maybe I was selling cigarettes, but you could get a bartender or something. You know what I mean? It's not actually that hard if you break it up into little sections is what I'm saying.
I'm expecting in a year from now, you're going to say, and I would collect for a bookie, and, if it got rough, it got rough. But did anyone ever think that you may bring a gun to school?
No, I didn't give off those vibes. I really didn't.
Okay. All right.
I think people were more like, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? He's doing what? So I think it was more unassumingly, it was.
Can you give me an example of what something it is that you would have been doing would have initiated that response?
I got a good one for you. Me and I got one buddy. It was so cold in Potsdam, New York, freezing cold, below freezing. And, we were freshmen. It was really important to us to smoke weed at the times when we wanted to smoke weed. And there was this one teal Jeep Wrangler that never locked the doors. I think the doors didn't work. And so we would smoke our joints in that person's car, never take anything. And it would just show up in the police blotter, somebody smoking weed. It's I'm pretty sure that's if not a felony, it's definitely a high misdemeanor to break into somebody's car and do whatever in there. But it was multiple times. It was just so cold and there was nowhere we could go. So we would just break into this car once or twice a week. And
did you know whose car it was?
No, we had no idea. We'd see it in the newspaper all the time. And it's just why would you do it? Why would you do it?
The person that owned the car would report it to police every time.
Yes.
Somebody had smoked pot in their Jeep.
Probably not a smoker because it never smelled like it in there, but definitely did after we left, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Imagine, God, that would be so weird to get back to your car multiple times. I guess it would make me think, this is where some of you on the security cam community blame the Jeep Wrangler owner. Be like, whatever, dude, fix your doors. Be like, hey, how about this? How about if my doors don't work, it doesn't mean high school kids just get to smoke pot in it. How about that idea? But there's so many people in that first group, it drives me fucking crazy. So you were getting high before high school classes as a freshman in high school?
No, this is college.
Oh, okay.
This is college. This is freshman in college.
Okay. All right. That's obviously, okay. We're doing better now.
Yeah,
We're doing better. Because when you first said it, I was like, God, You're like a badass.
No.
I'm afraid of Kyle now. Okay, this one might be fake. Somebody checking in here. What's up, guys? I'll keep it short. I recently had to put my dog down. She was 13 years old. The dog literally was my best friend. Putting her down was the second hardest thing I've ever had to do, next to getting through my mom's funeral. Okay. It's been a little over a week now, and most of my friends and family have checked in on me a couple times at least to see how I'm holding up. Everyone except my two brothers-in-law. It's difficult because one of the brother-in-law's name is Ben. And he says it's difficult because when Ben's hamster died a few years ago, I sent him a couple paragraph long condolence post on Facebook. That's what makes me think this is fake. Anyway, I get that they love the hamster, but let's face it, it's a hamster, and this is my fucking dog. I've had it for 13 years. I felt very alone recently, and not hearing anything from them just makes me feel even more lonely and like they don't give a shit, which maybe they don't. I'm guessing what I'm wondering is, am I allowed to be mad? Should I call them and tell them how I feel? Am I expecting too much for them to reach out to me on their own? There's no way that's real. Because it's funny, except for the two parts that aren't funny. So I'm sorry if it is real. But the hamster thing, I don't know. I don't know what to do about this one. If this is real, don't light into your brothers-in-law. Is it brother-in-laws?
I was going to ask you that. If I learned anything, it was going to be, is it brothers-in-law or brother-in-laws?
Yeah, I don't care really. But I would just tell you that don't, because it's going to, even if you're right and you're upset and you reached out to him about his hamster, which, again, I'd agree with you, a hamster death, I don't think is the same. No disrespect to the hamsters out there, but I just don't see it being equal to losing your dog. And so if this is true, that's great that you reached out to him on Facebook and banged out a couple paragraphs sharing your condolences about the hamster. But I got to tell you, I think there's times where I'm trying to imagine the argument in front of me, where if it's a guy who's like, well, fuck you, my dog died and you guys didn't even say anything to me, and it's not your immediate family. It just, to me personally, I think that's a weird thing to imagine.
It's so hard to keep up with that stuff outside of your own life. It's really hard.
Yeah, we all could do a way better job of just the day-to-day stuff. Like, how many times, I don't know how often this will happen, but like, if you'll have a relationship with somebody, I'm not even talking about like dating or anything like that, just a relationship with someone, whether it's professional, whether it's a friendship, and then it'll kind of waver, right? Or maybe you'll have like a dead period for a few months, and then that person, you'll wonder like, wait, did something happen? And then you start to think about it in your head, and then you can kind of convince yourself that, oh, I bet it's this, I bet it, and then there's levels to how psychotic you can get about it. But whenever that happens, and it'll happen to me occasionally, like on a professional thing, I'll be honest, like if it's a Hollywood pursuit thing and the person is clearly far more established than I am, and then I'm just trying to play it right, where, hey man, this is what I'm doing and whatever. And then it's like, okay, I'll check in. I mean, the thing about writing is I've learned is everybody asks to read your stuff and very few people do it. So you can't even take it personally. Like, what are you talking about? I sent you the thing and I thought you said you were going to read it. I had an agency who I was in the middle of trying to figure out my next agency, and I had sent scripts to all of them and said, I want feedback and I want real feedback. I want it to be honest. You're not doing me any favors telling me I'm good if I'm not any good. And every agency, for the most part, blew it off, except for one who took it really seriously. And that's who I ended up going with. And like one agent, I go, hey, what happened? He goes, you never sent those scripts. I was like, yeah, I definitely sent them. June, whatever. He's like, yeah, I never got them. And then forwarded him an email of some attachments, and then his response saying, can't wait to read them. So I forwarded that to him again months later, and he was like, oh, yep, busted. Never read them. I was like, yeah, I know. And then you lied about never getting them. He's like, yeah, you got me. I was like, all right, cool. So the whole point is that there'll be times where I went off on a tangent there a little bit, but there'll be times when you think, oh, is something wrong? Is something wrong? And then I'll have it happen to me where it's like, hey, did I do something wrong? I'm like, no, I just didn't respond to one text. I don't respond to every text sometimes. Like sometimes it'll be a text that I want to take seriously on the response, and then I let it sit there for a couple of days, and it's lost in the waterfall of texts. But that ended up becoming a lesson about far bigger stuff than maybe the dead hamster. But I think that happens to a lot of us where we'll think like, oh, this guy should have done this or should have done that. And, especially guys with families and stuff and kids, like they're probably not thinking about you as much as you think about it. If you're by yourself, that's the other thing that can happen too. Like somebody like me by myself, I could be thinking about other people in ways they're not thinking about me because they got way more shit going on and they're waking up and the kids are unhappy or the kid has to go there. One of them's sick and the wife is, you know what I mean? Like always try to remember that there's a lot of people that have a lot of stuff going on. And not everybody, especially again, I'm talking to the guys that are by themselves out there. Okay. One more. We'll get back to a relationship one here. 6'4", 205, 9% body fat. All right, guys, take it easy. Former college tight end can still windmill dunk. That's pretty sick. All right, here we go. Just want to say I love the pod. I've told my buddies for months I wanted a reason to write in. Well, now I take that back. So he did write in. I started seeing a girl a little while ago. We met on a dating app. I know, don't judge. I don't judge anybody that does anything on a dating app. That would make me sound old, which happens from time to time anyway. So we hit it off. We're both 23. She's a yoga instructor. Hello. I'm a personal trainer. Yeah, you are. And we've been going back to school in the fall at the same school. Anyway, we absolutely hit it off. Just a side note on anyways. It's anyway. There's no S. And the only reason I know it is some really smart girl at a Colorado ski house vacation where everybody hated me for like the first day. I'd said something, Kyle, when I got into the hot tub, which I thought was funny. It was a lot of guys. The ratio was way off. It was like 1 million guys and then just a couple girls. And then a couple of the girls were already spoken for, which guys didn't know ahead of time. So then the odds ended up getting really, really bad. And some guys just tapped out immediately and blacked out downstairs and played Guitar Hero for days on end because the skiing wasn't very good because the storm was so bad. But I'd gotten into the hot tub and I said completely deadpan, I was like, man, I've been kind of checking this group out. I was like, I would say I have at least the third best body at this house. And I was kidding, but people thought I was totally serious. And people went up to my buddies, they're like, your buddy's a dick. Like, who says anything like that? They're like, no. Like, you don't get it. Like he's doing it because it's absurd. But they were like, well, yeah, but he's in good shape. So it sounds like he thinks that. And they were like, he didn't go through and rank every guy's body and then proclaim it out loud to be serious.
We promise.
Like he's fucking with you. And they're like, I don't know. He didn't smile or anything. We're like, that's the whole point. That's his whole thing. Like, trust us. You're going to think he's funny. And eventually people warmed up. But in the midst of when one of the people at the ski house didn't like me, I said anyways, and she was like, it's anyway. And I was like, man, I've never forgotten that ever since. And again,
I don't think I'm going to stop saying it. I like anyways. But thanks, lady in the hot tub.
Yeah, no problem. There's somebody who's going to write in and say, actually, and we're not going to read that email, so don't worry about it. Okay. Anyways, we absolutely hit it off. Great chemistry, the whole deal. About 4 or so dates, hanging out consistently. I'm feeling good about this. Short backstory on myself. I have major trust issues due to my ex basically ghosting me after a 3-year relationship and leaving me for a girl. This is the first girl in about 3 years that I've gotten comfortable enough with to open up about. I was on cloud 9. Then after a night out, pizza on the beach, we get home, boom. She says she wants to be friends. I was shocked. Her reasoning being that she thought I deserved a real relationship with someone. You may ask why she would say this. Why did she say this? Well, getting to know each other more, she told me she's never been in a serious relationship, never. And she's not been intimate with anyone in 3 years. She did not give me many details, but the insinuation was that something bad happened. Okay. She goes on to stress that she really wants me to be in her life and still, her life still doesn't want me to lose her. Okay. After further conversation, I sense that she's acting weird during this, more off than a normal conversation, ending things. After talking about 2 hours, she says at one point she doesn't know what to do and she doesn't want to confuse me even more. Well, I leave, but before walking out the door, I kiss her. She kisses me back. I say I'm sorry at first, but then say eventually after talking for a few more minutes that I'm not sorry. Fast forward, I think he's talking about the kiss. Sorry, not sorry. All right. Fast forward this Saturday, she wants to hang out and talk. I have no idea how to approach this conversation, whether to tell her I'm willing to do whatever is necessary to make this work or just to back off and be friends with her. Thanks. And also hello to Kyle. And that's a little alarm going there to move the car out front. Street sweeping. This one is difficult, and it could get more difficult depending on what your level of patience is. I think the beginning, if you care about this person, you feel like you're really hitting it off, and you feel like there's something in her backstory that's preventing her from, opening up to you in the way that you want her to open up to you, then you got to respect that, and you can be cool about it, as long as you're still cool about it. But there's probably going to be a moment where you get frustrated. Because it's like, all right, so what do you want me to do? Do you want me to just hang out with you all the time and like my Fridays and Saturdays are for you, but we're not dating because you don't want to be in a relationship? There's some things she did say here too, where she's like, I don't want to lose you. She's like, I don't want you to lose me, I guess, but she's saying she doesn't want a relationship. So, I don't want to be insensitive knowing that you've mentioned or alluded to something that could have happened that's made her afraid of being with anybody. But I also think in any times in the beginning when any of this stuff is confusing and it's like, hey, I don't really want to date, but the person wants the attention. We've been over this before with different emails, but you've kind of got to have an understanding going into it. Like, all right, not necessarily a timeline where it's like, all right, after 6 months, the first day I'm out of here. If I'm not in a relationship with her, you clearly like her a lot, but don't get to a point where, because I always feel like these things will happen and you're, this is going to sound kind of shitty, but you'll meet somebody and they're like, oh, I don't know if it'll ever work with us, or, I'm not quite sure I'm ready for something like this, and on and on and on. And then you find out she's been like sleeping with a guy at work and you're just like, oh, okay, well, that sucks. And I'm not saying that's the case here, but there's just some phrasing here that you're giving us where she says, I don't want you to lose me, and she's asking to hang out again. I would just hang out, not force the issue, not keep asking her where you stand. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Don't, hey, are we dating? Are we not dating? And you'll know how long you can go down that road. Only you understand that. None of us can give you that advice, because some people would get sick of it and some people wouldn't. I'd also ask you this, to be fair, is she completely out of your league? Because are you going to be really, really patient because you can't believe a girl like this is talking to you? And I don't know. It sounds like you can still dunk and you're 6'4" and you're a personal trainer. So I'm not sure that you're terrible to look at. But in other cases, I can see guys being really, really patient when it's, let's be honest and shallow about it, a version of a girl that's never paid any attention to you whatsoever in the past. So there's a lot of different things here, and I want to be straightforward about it instead of just saying, okay, because I think the easiest thing in here is if there is truly something going on with her and her backstory that's bad, then you're going to have to just, make sure you give her all the space you possibly can. But I also think you should play out the other theories or timelines in your head as well. Okay, so here's what I want from the audience. We're finally doing it. We're really doing it, man. We're going to have a financial guy on, Josh Brown, who you may have seen on CNBC all the time, reached out, and we're going to have him come on and give investing advice. So we're going to do a longer life advice, all investment stuff, lifeadvicerr@gmail. And we're going to just talk to him too as well. About some stuff that's going on. How worried should we be about inflation? What's going on with mortgage rates? Is Bitcoin viable? Kyle, you probably own a couple coins. Maybe not Bitcoin, maybe not the pure stuff, but something.
Yeah, I did. I owned a piece of a Bitcoin.
Nice.
Coinbase.
All right. I like hearing that. So we'll do all of that with him, because I was watching a real estate show the other day, and it was terrible because they were talking about buying with Bitcoin. They act like it's this, like, whenever anybody does this, or the Sacramento Kings had a thing where it was like, hey, can we pay our players with Bitcoin? People are like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I don't know, you just agree to a price based on what Bitcoin is priced at that day, and then whatever your salary is, that's how much you would get in Bitcoin. Pretty simple, right? Like, yeah. The real estate one was find somebody who understands pricing of Bitcoin. So you just like, all right, how hard is that? And then it goes, make sure you agree to a price ahead of time. Oh, okay. Got it. And then non-mortgages and homes without mortgages, all cash purchases are much easier transactions. Okay. Excellent. How did I not know this stuff ever before? So we'll be a little bit better about it than that segment that I saw from Josh. So again, financial stuff. I guess do this. Put dollar signs in the subject so that we can sort through everything. And if you put dollar signs in there and it's about, a girl who doesn't like you, then you're going to be banned. You're going to be banned forever from Life Advice. You don't want that to happen. All right. Talk to you next week.